Good day, everyone. So we are now in the last chapter, which is chapter 15, Solid and Hazardous Waste. So what are solid waste and hazardous waste, and why are they problems? So concept 2101 states that solid waste represents pollution and unnecessary waste of resources, and hazardous waste contributes to pollution and natural capital degradation, health problems, and premature deaths. And for the slide useful things and hazardous materials, so solid waste covers the three: industrial solid, municipal solid waste, and hazardous toxic waste. First is the industrial solid waste. These are the all-compassing term used to describe material considered to be no longer of use after manufacturing process has been completed. So it means that these waste are coming from the manufacturing facilities that are considered not considered a waste because it is no longer used because it is already used by the manufacturing. And next is the municipal solid waste. So municipal solid waste, it is the waste that coming from the, so it is a municipal solid waste. It is a more commonly known as a trash or garbage, consists of everyday items that we use, and then we throw away, such as the product of shampoos like that. So it means it is a garbage from the local areas on local areas. Of course, hazardous toxic waste. So we all know that we know what is that, hazardous toxic waste. And next is hazardous waste. So it covers the organic compounds, toxic heavy metals. Toxic heavy metals, are the these are the metals that can harm people, like lead or mercury. That's the that's the that's the example of toxic heavy metals. And the radioactive waste, these are the waste that coming from the nuclear power plants, hospitals. That's the radioactive waste coming from. And next is the useful things and hazardous materials. So 80 to 90% of hazardous waste produced by developed countries. So why reduce solid waste? So these are the answers or statements that can reduce solid waste. So three-fourths of materials are unnecessary waste of earth resources. So huge amount of air pollution, greenhouse gases, and water pollution. So these are the two that covers the question why reduce solid waste, because these are the reason why we need to reduce solid waste. And next is what harmful chemicals are in your home or in our house, like, so what are those chemicals that it is available or it is existing in our house. So first we have cleaning. So cleaning covers the disinfectants, drain, toilet, and window. Then is septic tank cleaners and the spot removers. So these are the cleaning harmful things. And next is for the paint products, we have paints, stains, varnishes, and lacquers, and paint thinners, solvents, and strippers, and preservatives, artist paint, and inks. So these are for the paint products. It considered as harmful because it is so strong for humans to endure. And for the general dry cell batteries, we have that mercury and cadmium material for the battery, and glues and cements. And for the gardening, we also have pesticides, weed killers, ant and rodent killers, flea powders. So this considered as a harmful also because it it can kill any insects in the garden. And because of that, it is also can harm people. And for the automotive, we have also gasoline, used motor oil, antifreeze, battery acid, brake, and transmission. And for the next slide, we have the recycling in NYC, past, present, and future. So 1920 to 1940, highest trash due to coal ash. And 1962 and 1963, lowest trash coal burning phased out. And 1964 and 1974, rise in trash due to throwaway containers. And 1999, mandatory recycling happened. And 2001, we have also fresh kills, landfill closed, and trash howling. And for the how should we deal with solid waste? Concept 21 of 2, a sustainable approach to solid waste is first to reduce it, then to reuse or to recycle it, and finally safely dispose of what is left. So we can burn and bury solid waste or produce less of it. So we have these steps, or we have this kind of things that we need to do to to and to dispose properly those waste that we have. So we have the waste management, and next is the waste reduction, and next is the integrated waste management, uses a variety of strategy. So in the next slide, we have this integrated waste management. So in this integrated waste management is how can we use those things that we throw that is kind of useful for us. And in the diagram, we see that raw materials, and below it is the processing and manufacturing. Inside is the products. Then below of the processing and manufacturing is solid and hazardous waste generated during the manufacturing process. And below the products, we have this waste generated by the household and businesses. So under the waste generated by households and businesses, we have these called plastics, glass, metal, and paper. And beside it we have also the food or yard waste. And under it is also the hazardous waste and remaining mixed waste. So the solid and hazardous waste generated during the manufacturing process, under of that is we have to the manufacturers for use, reuse, or for recycling. So those plastic, glass, metal, and paper is that we can reuse it, and it is also considered to be can be recycled. And under the food and or waste or yard waste, we have this, we can compose it and make that is a fertilizer. And for the hazardous waste, we have hazardous waste management, so it cannot be reused, those hazardous waste, so we need to properly manage to we need to properly dispose that, and we should use the waste management system so that we can properly reduce we can properly dispose those hazardous waste. And for the remaining mixed waste, under that is landfill, then next beside the incinerator. And that's the end of my part of this PPT or this report, and thank you.
Integrated waste management. Priorities for dealing with solid waste. The first priority is, which is the primary pollution and waste prevention. The first one is change industrial process to eliminate use of harmful chemicals. Second is use less of a harmful product. Reduce packaging and materials in products. Make products that last longer and are recyclable, reusable, or easy to repair. Second priority or secondary pollution and waste prevention. Under this is the reuse, repair, recycle, compost, and reusable and recyclable products. The last priority in waste management is treat waste to reduce toxicity, incinerate waste, bury waste in landfills, release waste into environment for dispersal or dilution. We can cut solid waste by reducing, reusing, and recycling. Under this is waste reduction is based on reduce, reuse, and recycle. And there are also 7 strategies, which is redesign manufacturing processes and products to use less material and energy. Redesign manufacturing processes to produce less waste and pollution. Develop products that are easy to repair, reuse, remanufacture, compost, or recycle. Eliminate or reduce unnecessary packaging. Fifth is use free per bag waste collection systems. Sixth is establish cradle to grave responsibility. Seventh and the last is restructure urban transportation systems. So, what can you do to prevent solid waste? Follow the 3 R's of resource use, which is the reduce, reuse, and recycle. Ask yourself whether you really need a particular item and refuse packaging where possible. The next is rent, borrow, or barter goods and services which you can buy secondhand and donate or sell unused items. Buy things that are usable, recyclable, or compostable, and be sure to reuse, recycle, and compost them. Avoid disposables and do not throw away paper and plastic plates, cups, and eating utensils and other disposable items when reusable or refillable versions are available. Use email or text messaging in place of conventional paper mail. Read newspapers and magazines online. Buy products in bulk or concentrated form whenever possible. So, why is reusing and recycling materials so important? Reusing items decreases the use of matter and energy resources and reduces pollution and natural capital degradation. Recycling does so to a lesser degree. Reuse, the important way to reduce solid waste, pollution, and to save money. Reuse, which is to clean and use materials over and over. Downside of reuse in developing countries: salvaging automobile parts and rechargeable batteries. Case study: use of refillable containers. Reuse, under this is reuse and recycle, and under reuse and recycle, there is refillable glass beverages bottles, refillable soft drink bottles made of polyethylene terephthalate or PET plastic, paper plastic or reusable cloth bags, and energy consumptions involved with using different types of 350 ml containers. As you can see in the graph, aluminum can have the highest scale of used energy, and the refillable drink bottle have the lowest. So what can you do? The first thing is buy beverages in refillable glass containers instead of cans or throw away bottles. Second is use reusable plastics or metal lunch boxes. Third is carry sandwiches and store food in the refrigerator in reusable containers instead of wrapping them in aluminum foil or plastic wrap. Fourth is use rechargeable batteries and recycle them when their useful life is over. Fifth is carry groceries and other items in a reusable basket, a canvas or string bag, or a small cart. Sixth is use reusable sponges and washable cloth napkins, dish towels, and handkerchiefs instead of throw away paper ones. Seventh is buy used furniture, computers, cars, and other items instead of buying new. And the last is give away or sell items you no longer use. That's all.
Good day everyone. So ang next topic is there are two types of recycling. Primary or closed loop recycling and secondary recycling. Primary recycling is meaning same material recycled balik-balik pero wala gausob ang iyahang quality. Example kanang can of Coke. Ang can paglabay nimo i-recycle na alanayon para gamon gyapon og can. Then ang secondary recycling pag-recycle make new product like kanang naiuban ang karing sa bayawan gina nay kanang fancham ginahimo nila og payong. Then types of waste that can be recycled: pre-consumer or internal waste and post-consumer external waste. Pre-consumer waste kanang material nga kanang sobra nga wala nagamit, kanang sobra ilahang paggama then gi-discard, kanang wala naabot sa consumer. Ang post-consumer waste is kanang item nga nagamit na dayon gi-discard na, like kanang atong mga sagbot sa atong foods, ilang mga wrappers gi-discard mo na ang post consumer. Next slide is do items actually get recycled? That is the question. And what are the numbers? Will the consumer buy recycled goods? So we can mix or separate household solid waste for recycling. Materials recovery facilities, or another term, material recycling facilities. There are programs, the source separation, pay as you throw and fee per bag, like kanang sa tuang ang pag labay sa atong basura, di ba naman tay ticket nga katong yellow mo tay ginabayaran nato para din ipatapot sa ato ang sako or basurahan din sa lakwaon. Which program is more cost effective? Ang katong mix or separate. Sa kuan ang pag-separate mo cost effective kay gamay na siya gasto pang separate pag-abot sa facilities, and which is friendlier to the environment ang pag-separate and recycling. Next slide. We can copy nature and recycle biodegradable solid waste. Composting. Composting kanang controlled aerobic oxygen required process that converts organic materials into nutrient-rich soil amendment or mulch through natural decomposition, like kanang mga dahon-dahon na to ibutang na to sa usa ka area din itapok then ipalata kay kanang composting mahimo na siyang fertilizer sa atong mga tanom. We can panato na individually or municipal. Benefits. Benefits sa pag-recycle of biodegradable solid waste. It conserve energy, reduce air and water pollution, reduce greenhouse gases, and conserve natural resources. Successful program in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Kanang pag-recycle ng biodegradable solid waste. Next slide, discarded solid waste litters beaches. Moning resulta nga kanang bisag asa ra to panglabay ang atong basura dili na to i-recycle, so paingon magina sa dagat din ang tungod sa mga waves mabalik gyapon sa atong mga kabaybayon. Next, trade-offs, recycling advantages and disadvantages. Advantages: reduces air and water pollution, saves energy, reduces minerals demand, reduces greenhouse gas emissions, reduces solid waste production and disposal, helps protect biodiversity, can help landfill space, important part of economy. The disadvantages of recycling: can cost more than burying in areas with ample landfill space, may lose money for items such as glass and some plastics, reduces profits for landfill and incinerator owners. Resource separation is inconvenient for some people. We can encourage reuse and recycling. Question: what hinders reuse and recycling? For lack of education ko unsaon pag separate or recycle sa atong mga sagbot. Encourage reuse and recycling government in if government encourage the reuse and recycling, increase subsidies and tax breaks for using such products, decrease subsidies and tax breaks for making items from virgin resources. Fee per bag collection, matong ato ang kuan nato, itong may ticket. New laws, citizen pressure, kanang if dagan gyud nga mga citizen ang dagan gyud ang citizen ang mo gamaan na sa pag reuse and recycling, madala po ng uban nga tabo. Concept 21 for the advantages and disadvantages of burying solid waste. Concept 21 to 4. Technologies for burning and burying solid waste are well developed, but burning contributes to pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, and buried waste eventually contribute to pollution and land degradation. Moto pag kuan kana magsunog, bawal naman sa tuwa na magsunog kay mo lagi na ang pag-burn contributes to pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. Next is burning solid waste and has advantages and disadvantages. Waste to energy incinerators, which it has 600 globally and most in Great Britain. The advantages and disadvantages. Next slide is figure sa incinerator, waste to energy incinerators. The advantages of this incinerator are advantages: reduces trash volume, less need for landfills, low water pollution, contributes hazardous substances into ash for burial, save of energy, reduces cost, modern controls reduce air pollution, some facilities recover and sell materials. Metals. The disadvantages are expensive to build, cost more than short distance hauling to landfills, difficult to site because of citizen opposition, some air pollution and carbon dioxide emissions. Older or poorly managed facilities can release large amount of air pollutions. Output approach that encourages waste production can compete with recycling for burnable materials such as newspaper. Next slide will be discussed by Rosban Baling. Thank you.
So, solution: state-of-the-art sanitary landfill. So, sanitary landfill. What is a sanitary landfill? Sanitary landfill is a solid waste management facility that utilizes an engineered method of waste disposal, primarily for municipal solid waste. An engineered method of landfilling means that garbage is handled at a disposable facility that is designed, constructed, and operated in a manner protected of public health and the environment. So this is a example of a sanitary landfill. As you can see, there's a mini method or state of sanitary landfill. The disadvantage and advantage of a sanitary landfill. For the advantage is no open burning, little odor, low groundwater, can't be built quickly, low operating costs, can handle I can handle large amount of waste. Field land can be used for other purposes. No storage of landfill space in many areas. For the disadvantage is noise and traffic, dust, air pollution from toxic gases and trucks, release greenhouse gases, slow decomposition of waste, output approach that encourage waste production, eventually leak can contaminate groundwater. How should we deal with hazardous waste? Concept: a sustainable approach to hazardous waste is to first to produce less of it, then to reuse or recycle it, then to convert it to less hazardous material, and finally to safely store what is left. We can use integrate management of hazardous waste. Integrated management of hazardous waste. There are three: produce less, convert to less hazardous substance, rest and long-term safe storage. Increase use of post-consumer hazardous waste. So integrated. There are three methods: produce less hazardous waste, convert less hazardous or convert to less hazardous, put it in virtual storage. There are three methods. This is the example. We can detoxify hazardous waste in collect then detoxify. They have a five methods. As you can see, these are physical methods, chemical methods, and they use nanomagnetics, bioremediation, and phytoremediation, and incarnation, and using a plasma arc torch solution. Phytoremediation. As you can see, there are four of the phytoremediation, and these are rhizofiltration, phytostabilization, phytogradation, and phytoextraction, and phytoremediation. They have a disadvantage and advantage. And the advantage is easy to establish, inexpensive, can reduce material dump into landfill, produce little air pollution compared to incineration, low energy use. Disadvantages: slow, can take several growing season, affected only the plant's roots can reach. Some toxic organic chemical may evaporate from plant leaves. Some plants can become toxic to animals.
Hey everyone, for the continuation of our report, we will now proceed to the plasma arc, disposal, and surface impoundments, its advantages and disadvantages. So first is the plasma arc. So the advantages of plasma arc: it is small, mobile, easy to move to different size, and produces no toxic ash. For its disadvantages, it is high cost, produces carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, and also can release particulates and chlorine gas, and also can vaporize and release toxic metals and radioactive elements. So we can store some forms of hazardous waste through burial on land or long-term storage. Second is the deep well disposal. Third is surface impoundments, and fourth secure, hazardous landfills. So for the deep well disposal, it means the technology of placing fluids deep underground in porous formation of rocks through wells or other similar conveyance system. The fluids may be water, wastewater, or water mixed with chemicals. So there are also advantages and disadvantages of deep well disposal. So for the disadvantages, these are safe method if sites are chosen carefully. And waste can often be retrieved if problems develop, and also easy to do and low cost. So for its disadvantages, it leaks or spills at surface. Also, it leaks from corrosion of well casing. Third is existing fractures or earthquakes can allow waste to escape into groundwater. And lastly, output approach that encourage waste production. So, trade-off surface impoundments, the disadvantages and advantages of surface impoundments. When we say surface impoundments, it means a unit that is natural topographical depression, man-made excavation, or dike area formed primarily of earthen materials. Also, it may be lined with man-made materials, which is designed to hold an accumulation of liquids. So, for the advantages of surface impoundments, it is low construction cost, low operating cost. Third, can be built quickly. Fourth, waste can be often retrieved if necessary. And lastly, can store waste indefinitely with secure double liners. So for its disadvantages, the groundwater contamination for leaking liners or no lining, and also air pollution from volatile organic compounds. Third is overflow from flooding. Fourth is disruption and leakage from earthquakes. And lastly, output approach that encourages waste reduction. So there are solutions on how to secure hazardous waste landfills. It can be seen above. So, when we say landfills, these are excavated or engineered sites where non-liquid hazardous waste is deposited for final disposal and coverage. These units are selected and designed to minimize the chance of release of hazardous waste into the environment. So, what can we do in order to minimize hazardous waste or avoid? So, avoid using pesticides and other hazardous chemicals, or use them in the smallest amount as possible. Then use less harmful substances instead of commercial chemicals for most household cleaners. For example, use vinegar to polish metals, clean surfaces, and remove stains and mildew. Baking soda to clean household utensils and to deodorize and remove stains. And borax to remove stains and mildew. Also, do not dispose of pesticides, paints, solvents, oil, antifreeze, or other hazardous chemicals by flushing them down the toilet, pouring them down the drain, throwing them into the garbage, or dumping them down storm drains. Instead, use hazardous waste disposal services available in many cities. Like for example, here in Bayawan City, we have a solid waste management located in our city of Bayawan. Then how can we make the transition to a more sustainable low-waste society? By shifting to a low-waste society requires individuals and businesses to reduce resource use and to reuse and recycle waste at local, national, and global levels. Grassroots actions lead to better solid and hazardous waste management. So not in my backyard, it produces less waste. Not in anyone's backyard or not on planet Earth. Thank you.